it from this angle.
Yeah.
When we look at the United Nations and when we look at the world and we say, okay, we can tell what Uganda sells tomorrow
Sure.
to the rest of the world.
Yes.
We can tell what Ghana earns in a year.
Yeah.
But there is very little we can tell about what Somaliland earns
I
in
can
a
tell
year
you.
from the world economy.
Sure.
We can tell very little from what it buys,
Yes.
or what it does.
Yes.
You know,
Sure.
there is that element of not knowing.
Okay.
You see, because it's the not knowing that is, maybe it's because of Western knowledge that we always get.
Sure.
And that even Africa doesn't recognize it. So many countries in Africa don't. Even the African Union doesn't.
And
That's what I'm saying. How do you survive?
Right. So Somaliland is one of the biggest exporters of livestock to the Middle East.
All right.
So
All right.
that's part of our economy.
Okay. Okay.
Secondly, Somaliland is rich in natural resources.
Yeah.
So if you look back historically, the
Yeah.
Frankenstein
Yeah.
comes from frankincense comes from Somaliland.
You're right.
There's a lot of byproduct of livestock that comes from Somaliland. We also have a large community that after the war has moved all around the world.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
You
remittance.
got a very large group.
So we have a lot of remittance that come into Somaliland from the diaspora community as well. We have Berber port, which is one of the most important ports in the Horn of Africa.
Yeah.
That has or is being used by the likes of Ethiopia to import and export. Ethiopia is a landlocked country, and it utilizes Djibouti and Somaliland to import and export its products.
What is the biggest problem facing Somaliland?
The biggest issue, I would say, is the independence, and specifically what comes with the independence. What I mean by that is things like access to the international finance system.
Yeah.
So that's one of the challenges. But also anything to do with internationalism, so access to the UN, access to the systems that you would call is what the world work together.
Yeah.
So these are the things that stand against it. But in terms of everything else, Somaliland has everything that it needs, but it can do more.
Okay, you don't have any diplomats representing their various countries in your country. Now, if you want to deal with another country, you want to buy something in Uganda, what do you do?
We have representatives, so you might not call them ambassador.
Who are not recognized by Uganda. You have representatives.
They might not recognize it as an ambassador, but they recognize it as a representative of the Republic of Somaliland.
Okay.
So, for example, in Ethiopia, we do have a full embassy.
Yeah. You have a full embassy there?
Yes, in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
We have full embassy in Taiwan.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the rest of the world, we have an office here in London, a representative office of Somaliland that serve our community in here, but also connect us to the UK government. Same with the USA. So wherever we feel there's some importance for us to connect with, we open an office. We have an office in the UAE and all around the world, South Africa. So we don't lack diplomats. We might not call them ambassadors.
As an advisor, have you tried, or you people are trying your level best to convince the African Union and tell the African Union and say, listen, despite the fact that you're not recognizing our country, but we have achieved a lot without your recognition, is this high time? Because if you keep knocking on their door, the African Union, if you get representation from the African Union, then the rest of the world will have come and listen. I don't know whether you're trying, the government is trying that.
Actually, funny you should say that, Stephen. Yeah, I believe I stand corrected, but I believe in 1998, the African Union sent a delegation. I'm not quite sure about the date, but I'll confirm it. Sent a delegation to Hargeisa, the capital of Somalia.
Hargeisa,
They prepared a report for the African Union. In the conclusion of that report is that the African Union should fully recognize Somaliland as independent state.
That's the report which was done by the African Union.
Right. So when the African Union comes to Somaliland and sees what is happening in Somaliland, they come to that conclusion, as you would have, as I do. Where we feel the African Union lacks is the action. So even though they realize this is a state, it's a functioning state, it's a state that existed beforehand, so it does not go against the constitution of the African Union, which states that any the borders will be the borders of the colonial borders. So Somaliland has a defined colonial border.
Oh it has. It has.
It was a recognized country. So the African Union, and I would say to them direct, it's way overdue to act on what they've already concluded. And that's, in a way, that's what we want them to do.
How about persuasion? Persuasion to the Western world, the European Union, the Commonwealth. If you could even try and say, look, we want to join the Commonwealth because we have once the British colony, the Americans. The thing is you need to sell. If you sell yourself well, I don't know whether they have that thing in time. So instead of sitting back and say, okay, we'll do it our own way, whether you want it or not, we don't care. But as time goes by, you say, listen, you know what? Let's go and talk to the Americans. Let's go and talk to the Japanese. Sooner or later, they will recognize. Is there anything within the government structure that this thing it's like you try to sell yourself? Is it there?
We do, and we did. And I'll give you some examples. So my president, with a number of his cabinet members, went to the United States of America. And they met senators, as well as different parliamentarians in the United States of America. With the offer from Somaliland that Somaliland does not believe in handouts. What we want to be a member of the international community. We want to trade with the international community, and we want to engage. So there was a bill that went through the two houses of Parliament of the United States of America, signed by the president, which in effect allows Somaliland to be traded by the American companies, which makes Somaliland similar how they treat with Taiwan. In the UK side, a friend of Somaliland, I don't know if you know him, Sir Gavin Williamson, a few days ago was in the UK Parliament, that he brought a bill through, and that bill in effect says that Somaliland should be recognized. And if the British government does not recognize it, the UK Parliament should lead the way and recognize Somaliland as an independent state and welcome them to be a member of the UN.
There was a delegation which was supposed to live here to go to Somaliland, and I don't know whether it was last year, and I think there were some disputes of not allowing them to go to Somaliland. I don't know what happened with that delegation.
Actually, on the contrary,
they did go.
They did go. The gentleman I was telling you about, Sir Gavin Williamson, went to Somaliland when he was the Defense Secretary of the United Kingdom. He went to Mogadishu and he went to Hargeisa. And one of the reasons why he supports Somaliland so hard now is when he went to Mogadishu, what he has seen in Mogadishu, and when he came to Hargeisa, the safest place that you can be. And sometimes people are surprised when I say that. If you ever come down to Somaliland, Stephen, you will see.
Give me the invitation and I'll come.
Gladly. You have my invitation from now on. You will see something that will surprise you that you might not even see in some of the developed countries. You will see people with cash, and I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of US dollars.
Because they don't have banks there. You don't have banks yet.
It's exchange. But it's the safety. Would you be able to carry $20,000 in public in the United Kingdom?
No,
in
you
the
can't.
capital of the city?
You can't.
Can you do that in Uganda? Can you do that in Kenya?
No.
This is one of the examples what makes Somaliland unique. You will see people on the street with hundreds of thousands of US dollars or Somaliland shilling. Or gold, sitting peacefully, exchanging money, doing trade without needing any security. This is unique in the world.
That's interesting. Now, I want us to revert a little bit. There is something that has happened here that I was reading about, and it could bring some kind of destabilization. And it's a very interesting question. Now, President Musa Abdel. It's not his fault. that the elections had not been sent, have been extended for another 2 years. Now, opposition parties, WEDA and UCID, no longer recognize him as president of the Republic of Somaliland. Could this threaten the stability of what has been a stable place into something now that they say, no, elections are extended. We need to, if they're extended now, he's no longer our president. That thing alone could rip something, could rip apart what has been a very stable place for the last 32 years.
Far from it, Stephen.
Really?
And I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
First of all, the way our democracy is built, the power is divided between the government, the parliament, and the judiciary. So you have three different parts of power.
Okay.
The president is only one of those. Is only one part of those. Now, it's not the president who decides when the elections will be held.
The political parties are part of the structure. Remember,
they are.
If they don't get involved,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's when the way the power is divided.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not the president who decides when the elections should be held. Within our constitution,
yeah,
there are times when either the parliament would decide what would be the best time to hold the election. Now,
or when it's the parliament that decide.
Yes.
You don't have, say for example,
we have commission.
Yeah. Okay.
And that commission would, for whatever reason, if they feel the time is not right, whether, for example, some of the things that might happen is if there's a famine,
yeah,
and if there's an issue in terms of security,
so
there are certain criteria where the commission would say, because of these situations, now might not be the time to hold it.
Okay.
But they cannot decide that without the support of the two houses of parliament.
Okay.
Now, the president can only agree with it, but he's not the one who decides it.
All right, all right.
So, in terms of the timeline, it's not down to the president. And the parties know this. The two political parties know this. Now, there's one thing unique.
Why are they arguing then?
Okay, I'm coming to it. One of the unique things about Somaliland, and I think it's probably one of the most advanced democracies, is not only do you change the government, but you also change the party system. So every 10 years, we reopen the party system.
Okay, so someone else, it gets a new leader.
Exactly. So actually, a whole new parties can come up and start. So at any given time, we have 3 parties. But every 10 years, we reopen the party system. Now, there was a delay in terms of the opposition choosing whether to accept the head of the commission. So there were a few things that caused delay. Okay. And then follow up from there, the commission decided that they were not ready. So there's normally a change of commission at a certain period of time. Okay. There was a new commission that were appointed, and the new commission said we need time to, number one, prepare and set the time. And the House of Parliament agreed with that, yeah. And the President agreed with them. So actually, it's not the President who decided, yeah. But now, in terms of talking about what would risk our democracy, let me tell you something unique about Somaliland. Yeah. One of our presidential elections, one of the competitors to the President, lost by 80 votes. 80 votes. 8 votes only. 80. Yeah, 80 votes. 80 votes. Yeah. And there was no issue. They shook hands. Yeah. There was peaceful transfer of power. I guarantee you that would be even challenging to the most advanced, as we have seen, democracies in the world. Yeah. That's unique in Somaliland.
What about this issue? This is something, okay, it's unique, but it's also a saying, which I gathered this because I've seen this in Africa, where we have clans. Yes. And Somalia has clans. Sure. And
Somaliland has clans.
Somaliland has clans. Yes. And we hear that the clans are now the big bosses within the structure of Somaliland, just as they are in the mainland Somalia. Are they dictating the terms of who the next president is and who goes where and what? Because they seem to have much more power. Because as you know the history of Somalia.
Sure.
You're from Somalia.
Yes.
Saidi Barry raised a lot of money.
Sure.
You know where it came from, and he was charging so much for that side.
Yeah.
And in fact, the split came from Saidi Barry when he started putting taxes up on that side.
Actually, it's more than taxes.
Yeah.
He literally, in terms of Somaliland,
Yeah.
He annihilated in
Yeah.
excess of 200,000 Somalilanders. It caused the destruction of the main cities of Somaliland.
Yeah. They didn't support him. Maybe that's one of the reasons why.
Well,
the clans and all that. What I'm looking
was a
at is,
dictator.
yeah, of course he was.
Yes.
The clan-based system, is it helping Somalia or is it destroying Somalia?
Somalia, well, Somalia, that's a different case, and
Okay.
I think we probably would talk about it separately. But in terms of Somaliland,
Yeah, but you do have the clan system anyway.
we do have
We do,
it.
okay.
We do have it, but actually it's not negative. When after the destruction of what used to be Somali Republic,
Yeah,
the basis of Somaliland was different communities. In your case, you would call it clans. I would
Okay.
call it communities.
Okay,
That
okay.
came together,
Yeah.
and they said, we need to make peace. We need to work together.
Yeah.
So actually, rather than being a negative thing,
Yeah.
to us, we went back to our roots.
Okay.
Somalis, specifically Somaliland, have a culture. When there is a dispute, they will sit under a tree.
Yeah.
Everybody's point of view will be considered,
Yeah.
and between them, they will come to a conclusion that will be in agreement with majority.
Yeah.
So we always have democracy. We might not have called it democracy, but we have the best democracy. And the reason why Somaliland stands as it is, it's because of that system.
Right. The relationship between Somaliland and Somalia.
Yeah.
How do you define it now? Because now, the way things are, if you're more stable, you don't have El Shabaab disturbing you.
No.
These are some of the things that could jump in when there's stability, when they want chaos and so on.
Yes.
How have you managed to hold on to that structure that you don't have El Shabaab at all? Because these are your sons as well. They're everywhere. There has to be something that you hold on more.
Yes.
That they can't even penetrate Somaliland.
It's the people.
Oh, it's the
people of
Okay,
Somaliland.
Okay.
Somaliland has been in control and fighting against Al Shabaab. They tried to, but we always defended our land.
Okay.
What makes it unique in terms of Somaliland is if you come to Somaliland tomorrow
Yeah.
and people don't know you, they will want to find out who you are.
All right.
So the people work with their government.
Yeah.
And by people working with their government, any terrorist has no leg to stand on.
Yeah.
That's why in the last 20 years, you might have had terrorism in every corner of the wider Horn of Africa, almost, in every capital, except Hargeisa. Because the people and the government work together for the common good, and they fight against terrorism, against piracy, and in a way, that's what we would like the African Union to see, and that's what we would like the world to see. And anybody, I guarantee you, anybody who comes to Somaliland, who sees how Somaliland works, would not only fall in love with it, but he would advocate for it.
Now, the relationship between the two countries, having been one country, somewhere in the future, we are looking at that. They have their own parliament. You have your own parliament.
Yes.
They have difficulties.
Yes.
They have Al Shabaab to fight. You don't have Al Shabaab.
Mm.
Somewhere along the way, I'm looking at it. How would you term the relationship in a sense that, okay, we are brothers, we've been together for a long time, we may have split this, but how can we help you in a way? Because I look at it from an angle whereby, as brothers, you need to maybe have a good relationship that might make both of you live peacefully. How is that? How can that be forged?
The people between Somalia and Somaliland have respect and love for each other. We have different political point of view. We have different objectives.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. There was whenever there is any flooding, any environmental risk in Somalia, Somalilanders put money together to send to the people who were affected by it.
In Somalia?
In Somalia.
Yeah.
So that love is there. Where we differ is we would like to govern ourselves and we would like our brothers to govern themselves. I would say to the African Union and those who possibly listen to this program, Somaliland is part and parcel of the solution, for finding solution for Somalia. If Somaliland was recognized, Somaliland can help Somalia in a lot of ways. So by I believe it was Albert Einstein who said, if you do things the way you've always done and expect a different outcome, it's a sign of madness. We say to the African Union and we say to the international community, they have been trying to put Somalia together for 32 years. If they tried and they recognized Somaliland, Somaliland could be the start of fixing Somalia. Somaliland, there is no Somalia better than anybody else. They can find solution for it. But what they cannot do is try to find a solution when they not recognized and somebody who is not elected but selected in Mogadishu claims to be the sovereign of Somaliland.
All of Somalia.
Yes. So there's a contradiction there. But if the African Union recognizes Somaliland, I believe, strongly believe, that they will find solution to the problem in Mogadishu, but not only in Mogadishu, but wider Somalia.
Now, the bank, do you have any banks in there? Because the bank institution is one of those areas which really help as far as the economic is concerned. Which banks have you got? Did you start your own banks?
Yes, you will see a bank that you will see in every corner around the world. Have you ever heard of Dabshil?
Dabshil?
Yeah, every part. Now in London, you will find every corner. They started as a remittance, but they also have their banks in Somaliland, and it's only one of many banks. We also have there's another company called Telesom.
And the country has its own central bank.
Yeah, we do.
You do have your own central bank with the governor and everything.
Absolutely, that's how we print our money. That's one of the unique things again about Somaliland is we actually use digital money. So we probably about 80 to 90% of our trade is done by digital money. So we are more advanced in a lot of countries around the world. Another thing I would show you in terms of how seriously we take our democracy. Somaliland is the first country in Africa, possibly in the world, I'll stand to be corrected there, to use a biometric system. So when you are voting in Somaliland, not like London, you don't just come up with a card. Actually, they do it with your iris.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that ensures
that's technology. It must have been bought from somewhere. Where did they get this technology from?
We worked with our colleagues, with our partners, likes of Taiwan, to be the first country, and also we've been working with the UK government supported us, and some other European countries. But we were one of the first, if not the first, definitely the first in Africa, possibly one of the first in the world. So we are advanced in so many ways. I'll show you another thing. We have the cheapest telecommunication system in the world, by far, by far. So not only are we one of the most efficient ports in the world, so we are moving forward.
That Hargeisa has got a port.
Berbera, which is just about 2 hours away from Hargeisa. So we are advanced country.
If I may ask, the war in there's this war across the border, and that's the Red Sea. I'm trying to find out whether it hasn't affected you a lot in terms of getting refugees coming in. The war in South Sudan, for example, in Northern Sudan, is one of those. And also there's another war, which is next, the Saudi Arabia.
We probably South Sudan does not, or North Sudan does not reach us. However, we settle a lot of refugees coming from Yemen.
I was going to say the war in Yemen.
Yes.
It hasn't affected you at all.
We welcomed a lot of refugees. And even though we're not member of the UN, we behave as though we are a member. So any refugees that need either from Ethiopia, from Yemen, from Somalia, we receive them in our country, and we try to help them as much as we can for what little we have, and then we try to get them international support where it's needed. So we do everything and even better than what other countries do.
That I recognize. Religion. Religion is a center
Sure.
of Somaliland,
Sure.
and it's the center of that entire region.
Yes.
Which kind, constitutionally, what have you got in terms of, do you do with Sharia law? What kind of law have you got in terms, what kind of, where do you place religion? I know it's a Muslim country, but how other religious, Christians, can they have churches there? Can they have, what kind of independence give them that constitutionally?
Sure. Somalilanders are, I would say, close to as 100% as close as you can get
to
Muslims and Sunni as well. So even at that set, but nonetheless, we get a lot of people from Kenya, from Ethiopia, from other parts of the world. We don't discriminate. We welcome them. There's in Islamic terms, and maybe there's different versions that other people believe. There's a verse in the Holy Quran that says, "Lakum dinakum waliya din." I have my belief and my religion, and you have your belief and your religion. And our constitution is built onto that. We are Muslim, but we don't discriminate. So, for example, if you came to Somaliland, we don't force you to be a Muslim. You are one of the wider society. If you reside, you follow the normal rules and regulations of the country. But we don't discriminate you because you're Christian or.
No, what I'm saying, the reason why I mention it is that when you look at certain countries, some Islamic countries, there are certain strict laws where, for example, they say women have got to wear headscarf, men have got to be this, religious schools have got to exist in certain areas, and everything has to be done. I mean, the language itself becomes, Arabic. There are certain things which, when someone else looks at, of course, it's entirely an Islamic country, that it's very, very difficult for someone else to open up. Say, for example, like United Arab Emirates, it opened up. It says, okay, we are Muslims, yes, but a Christian church can be built here. A Hindu can build a temple there. This kind of openness, is it existing? Because that's
absolutely, we are as open as society as you can have. There's a small church in Hargeisa that was built way before, and that has been maintained. So if you're Christian, you can go and pray in your church. As far as I know, there are no other religions that are currently available or are there in a number. But anybody's welcome in Somaliland. In terms of the dress code, our preference, we love and respect our religion, and we prefer
someone else to do the same as well, to respect
but we don't force it. So there's a lot of Europeans, there are a lot of other Africans who come in to Somaliland out of respect. Sometimes they feel they have to cover themselves, but we don't force them. So nobody is forcing you to do anything in Somaliland. On the contrary, we welcome everybody with open arms. And Steve, when you come,
the law of women, are there women in positions of authority? You in say, for example, in your cabinets, and in leadership roles, you've got women as members of parliament as well. We nowhere where it should be, and I take that. But we have women in our cabinet, we have women in our parliament, where possibly the numbers is not equal to how our society is. Our society is close to 50-50. But normally we don't have 50-50 women like Rwanda and so on. But neither are the developed countries in the world. I mean, you've seen the UK and you've seen the US, as well as other African countries. So we are not where we want to be. But you've got gaps where you are going to make sure that they reach that level.
My president leads on that. So he came up with a new ideas of how we can get more women to, for example, the House of Parliament. Now, there are other challenges. There are cultural challenges, which are part and parcel, where a lot of people believe that women maybe should be, doing more on the family side of things rather than on the political side. But there are also
is it there in the constitution? Because this is where it comes interesting. Because you might be doing something, but if it's not in the constitution and you don't put certain push to percentages, Is it that?
The Constitution allows women to stand for election.
Yeah.
They also have every right as a man has in terms of political, taking part in politics altogether. Now, there are other cultural reasons where we might not have achieved that. I think the current government tried to set parameters to push more women to get into politics. But I guess that will be a long process. They are there, but they're not there the numbers that they should be. They're not true representative of the country, but nonetheless they are there. The Constitution allows them to have every right as the man has in terms of getting into politics. So there's nothing stopping them.
Okay. And now the terms I want us to move now to in terms of development and the area where you are as in mineral advising government on mineral. You're looking at terms of, say for example, education, where you have more people, your own people who will be in charge of most of the things. I'm trying to find out, learning about the minerals and going to get them, or learning about certain issues that becoming high court judges, or the training itself, the budgets that you have to cover the kind of training you want and the kind of people that you want. I don't really know how the budgets of the budget of the country is and how big it is that it can accommodate all this, because we know very, very little about this country.
The budget of the government is very little.
In terms of agriculture especially.
In general, it's very little.
It's very little.
It's very little, and then within that little small budget that we have, we spend probably more than 1/3 of our budget on defense, because of the situation that we are in, because where we are in the world. We have Al-Shabaab on this side. We have ISIS not far from us. We have the war in Yemen that could have. We have the war in Somalia. So for us for my government, the most important thing is the safety and security of our people. That is where most of our budget goes to. And actually, not only for Somaliland, but we fight against piracy. Where we are in the world, we are on the tip of the Horn of Africa.
The Gulf of Aden has a lot of merchant ships passing through there. Up to
30% of the world trade goes past it. Manufacturing from the Far East goes through it, and then the energy from the Middle East goes through it. Bab el-Mandeb, which is literally on the corner of Somaliland, Djibouti, Yemen, and Somaliland, in that triangle. It's part and parcel of the areas that we defend. So when you heard about the Somali piracy.
There used to be so many of them. It
never happened in Somaliland area. We protected for the world to make sure that there's no piracy in Somaliland. It was in Somalia, but they would not be able to come to Somaliland. For the little that we have, we worked for the common good of the world. You remember when there was a ship that broke down in the Suez Canal, and how that affected the world.
I remember.
If Somaliland was not defending that part of the world, and piracy got into it, you would have felt the prices and the inflation that going up in the UK. So Somaliland not only protects the security and the safety of our people, we protect the security and safety of the international community as well. Coming back in terms of the budget, so when you take 1/3, possibly even up to 40% of your budget for security and safety, and you look at how much it costs to administer a government, we don't have much left. For what we have left, we have probably more universities per capita than any country in that region.
How do you fund them? Because this is where the whole thing, the whole idea is the fear that something may happen tomorrow and the entire country collapse. If your budget, if you go to the defense and then you have the education and then you have somewhere along the way, if all becomes too much and you can't get money from the IMF. You can't get money from any of these other countries. Then there is that element of sooner or later, you don't pay bills, you don't pay wages for government officials or anybody else, things start going down. There is that fear element. That's why I'm saying everybody's looking at the country and saying, how is it surviving with all these, from what you're saying?
Yeah. Let me put your mind at ease. We have done this 32 years. Somaliland has been independent state for 32 years.
Yeah.
If I tell you the budget that this country started 25 years ago, the budget for the whole country was less than 20 million.
Was this the 20 million?
Yeah. And that's when we had probably the most challenging situations in our country.
That's $20 million there.
Yes. So we live within our means.
Yeah.
We like to get more. We like to get access to the financing system that's available to
the outside world.
But we live within our capability.
But you must have some kind of gold fathers somewhere, baroners, they're called gold fathers, who are probably shifting money and it's landing there and it's being kept there and something like that, which maybe you don't want the rest of the world to know.
Somalis are business minded. You will find us, Somalilanders are everywhere in this world.
I know.
You will find us doing business.
I know. Somebody told me he met a Somali man in Iceland trying to open up a store in Iceland. And I said, Iceland? One of the coldest places in the world. There was the businessman from Somalia.
Sure. One of the richest people in the region. Either are Somalilanders and live in Somaliland, or they are Somalilanders who either live in Djibouti, in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Uganda. You will find our people are entrepreneurs. They will start businesses, and when they do, they always have commitment to give back to their country, and that's what makes us so unique. That without the international community, that we built a country.
The relationship with Turkey, if I may, Turkey. There's something about Turkey with which I was in the course of this research for this interview. Turkey has some kind of dealings with the government of Somalia, and it hadn't discussed this with the European Union and with other countries that are within. Now, that issue has come up at some point, and on a military level, and also on agriculture and other issues that Turkey is trying to come in. Now, is there a way, because countries look at it and they said, look, we're looking at our interest. Turkey is looking at its interest. Somaliland is looking at its interest. But the rest of the world is looking elsewhere. Now, maybe you can give us a brief on that. How is the relationship between Turkey and the Somaliland?
We have a good relationship with Turkey.
But it hasn't recognized you yet.
No, it hasn't. But they have an office in
they do.
We do a lot of business. A lot of our business people do business with Turkey. So we don't see as an issue. We would like to work with them in diplomatic terms, and Turkey, like every other country in the world, we would like every country to recognize Somaliland, to work with us. When Turkey does something good with Somalia, we congratulate them. We don't see that as a threat in terms of doing a lot of helpful things to the Somali people in Somalia, or as they do sometimes in Somali people in Djibouti or Ethiopia or Kenya. We welcome that. We see as an advantage. As long as it's not a military equipment that can be used against Somaliland, we have no issue.
But that is the I think the main worry of Western Europe and America as well, because there could be military issues, the military equipments that could be shipped there if you need them. And that is the drones and all that. That's the main worry. Because they don't know. The whole idea is if they don't know how much money is being spent on these issues.
I would say to the Americans and Western countries, recognize Somaliland. When you recognize Somaliland, you will have safe, secure, democratic, self-reliance country in the Horn of Africa.
But why don't they recognize Somaliland?
That's the question that we need to ask them.
Because why there must be something that they're looking at. I think, and even the rest of Africa. I was talking to an African diplomat one day, and I said, look, if that is what they want, then who are we to tell them no? Why there must be a question you should be asking them.
I do ask, and I get exactly the same. You guys have done fantastic job. You've done everything that's expected from a country. You have done democracy in a level that is second to none. You are self-reliant. They will say all those things, but they would also say to you, you know what, I don't want to be the first country, but I will be the second.
All right.
Yes. So they recognize, they know. This is just my own analysis. I think a lot of countries think if they fix Somalia and Mogadishu, then everything will be all right. They spent 32 years doing that. You have to try something different.
Of course.
It did not work. It did not work. Al-Shabaab is still as strong as it has ever been. In terms of the governance in Somalia, even though there has been so many different presidents that have changed, they are still being helped and guided by the African Union. Without going in detail, we all know the issues.
Of course we do.
If they recognize Somaliland, Somaliland would be the way to build Somalia. But in two brothers,
it could also be the way to build Africa. If you're not even depending on anybody, you're not depending on any aids, you're not getting any, there is no money coming in from the Western world. The banks, the World Bank and IMF are not, you don't have any loans from them?
No, we don't have any loans. We say to them, as my president said, we want to engage, we want to trade.
How about China? China, was there any issue? Because again, we're looking at China doesn't care. It goes everywhere and it's doing business everywhere. And I'm surprised that it hasn't come in. If it hasn't come in at all to do business with you when it knows you are
privately, privately, there are some private companies who come
from China
to do mining and things like that, and we welcome them. We have nothing against them. One of the things that probably my challenge is we recognize Taiwan. Taiwan recognizes us. So that might be an issue for China. But we welcome.
It could be an issue for China.
But we welcome everybody. We are strong in terms of we believe what we believe. We trade with who we want to trade, and we recognize who we recognize. As long as you don't have anything against that, we welcome you and we will work with you. Then
the selling point in terms of agriculture, because with the survival as an instinct, I've seen from a number of websites which are opened up, and the government ones in Somalia, which are also showing what Somalia is trying to do. Although the land is not that very welcome in a way. There's a bit of hostility.
Or Somaliland?
No, in Somaliland.
Somaliland,
Because I've been seeing some agriculture equipments and some other things on the website, which was given to me by Adam. Adam did it. He's a very good journalist, a friend of mine, and a very good guy. He gave me a number of things to go through, and I've seen that. But then at the same time saying, look, you need some expertism into dealing with some of this stuff in terms of building, in terms of doing that. But then because of the fear factors, some people may not want to come. Top engineers or top people who are construction engineers in any way may fear to come because of the non-recognition. And then you may end up having unqualified, not qualified, qualified people, but the best top to come in and do the work there. How is that overcome so that you have agriculture institutions that are bringing in, road construction, buildings that are coming in, and you have expertism to help the country? How do you do that?
Let me tell you something. I came from the private sector before I
went to advise
the
government
on the government side. I used to run one of the companies that did the telecommunication in Somaliland, a company called Somcable, which built fiber optics. I had the best engineers from America coming to Somaliland to work with us. Now, when they come, they see, normally people find it challenging to separate between Somalia and Somaliland. When they come and see, they work, they're happy. And there are a lot of interviews.
My worry, you know why I say that, is that if there's insurance policies.
Yes.
And most of these people fear insurance policies because when I tried to take journalists to Uganda to do a project in Uganda, filming other journalists, the first thing they do, they check the insurance policy. Now, when a country is not recognized like Somaliland, the insurance company will jump in and say, we can't insure you to travel there because in case anything goes wrong, you are not insured. How are we going to pay you? Or they cancel your insurance if you're going. And these people depend so much on these insurance policies. That's why I'm saying, how do you overcome that?
We have our own insurances who work with international insurance companies.
Okay.
So, for example...
You don't work with them illegally?
No, legally. In a legal way.
Okay.
In a legal way.
Yeah.
There's... normally when people see opportunity, and there's an opportunity in Somaliland, people are willing. So we have, I think in effect, about 5 or 6 different insurance companies in Somaliland, and they utilize either African or Western companies to underwrite them as an insurance. Okay. So if somebody comes into Somaliland, they can take insurance in Somaliland knowing that insurance is underwritten by an internationally well-known firm. So take, for example, the Lloyd's of London. They will insure the insurers of Somaliland, and the signatures of Somaliland can provide that. So Stephen, we have everything that you can think of. In terms of construction, recently we completed a state-of-the-art road that connects Berbera all the way to Ethiopia, that the Ethiopian trucks will be able to utilize. Now, we have engineers all over the world. We have our own engineers.
Oh, yeah, Somali engineers. Somali engineers.
But we also have foreign engineers. We had engineers from the UAE. We had, there's a bypass being built over Hargeisa. We have engineers from the UK. So there's no issue as such. It is you coming and seeing it. And when you see, Steve, I promise you, when you see the opportunities in Somaliland, you might not want to come back to London.
If I see opportunities from there, I might not want to come back. No, the reason why I always mention that, because I've seen it quite a lot, and if the insurance companies are working with you, then the premium must be very high. If that's the case, because if one is to go there, one of the things that happens is that it's a question of saying, okay, you're going there, but premiums are going up. Because even in Somalia itself, I've been with a couple of journalists who are trying to go, and then the premium went because of Al-Shabaab and everything. I said, look, this is the amount of money.
Yes, a lot of these companies know Somaliland is different. A lot of these companies, and when you look at the websites of, in terms of the international community, for example, as a British citizen, you would look at the website of the Foreign Office, and the Foreign Office will advise you most of Somaliland is safer than in any other country in the region. So for that reason, because the insurance companies always work on risk, the risk is much lower than anywhere else in the region, because there hasn't been any bombings in Somaliland for the last 20 years. There hasn't been hardly any killings. We have one of the lowest number of crime in the region by far, per capita.
Hospitals,
sure.
Hospitals and clinics and all that.
Sure. We have hospitals in every city. Every major city has a hospital.
Okay.
We're not where we need to be. We don't have the National Health Service as such. Our hospitals are free for the public, but medication and so on you have to buy. We want to be advanced in terms of health. But again, it comes back to the budget. For the budget that we have, we manage really well for what we have. All the major cities has hospitals. But I want to tell you one thing that again might be unique. When Siad Barre government or dictatorship has fallen, there were blames that were taken off the airport of Hargeisa, the capital city, and literally destroyed the whole city. And I mean, more than 90% of the city was destroyed. Same with Buro. All the major cities in Somaliland were destroyed. Every single one of them is built to international standard. Not by mortgage.
Within the last 32 years,
not by mortgage. In London, you know, if somebody has a house, they probably have 30-year mortgage today.
I know.
It was done through the hard work of people of Somaliland and the community in the diaspora. Somaliland is unique in so many ways. I cannot start to tell you how many different ways that Somaliland is so unique.
But the question of being unique, I can understand it, because then Somalis themselves, they know they have to do this, especially people from Somaliland. They have got to do it.
Yes.
And as you're saying, you've got so many of them who are businessmen and have got the money. Now, the issue is it's good they chip in and help, but the worst thing that I can look at is when somebody gives money to the state, for example, there is always something that the person needs back in return. You know, power is this is how power goes. You know, and those who are helping to build hospitals, doing that, they have to get something in return. Even in the Western views, it's the same thing. We've done this for you. You put something in the other hand.
You give money to the British government.
No.
The British government. No, I'm talking about taxation. They do it through taxation. So if you
so you cut down the taxes when they provide something which is a service to the people.
No, what they do is the service comes through. So for example, take the port of Berbera. Omar is one of our biggest companies that import food from all around the world. You will find the food, the Omar company food, in Rwanda, in Ethiopia, in Djibouti, in all of the region. They import those foods from to Somaliland from Berbera, and they pay tax. So by them paying tax to Somaliland, the government can administer or use that tax to advantage of our people. So it's not that they give money to the government; it's they to taxation they pay money.
No. This is what I'm saying. You're advisor to the the minerals. A British company comes to dig some minerals in there and said, okay, you're going to give us the contract. We build the mineral, we do this and do that. Now, in return, this is much money we're going to get out. You know, so you're looking at it from that. If it's an individual, obviously he's using his money to dig that, the minerals and all that, or even to invest in agriculture. Somewhere in return, there should be something which a person says, okay, I'm giving you this, this is how much I will need. Am I going to get a lot of money out of this, or am I going to get a favor somewhere which is much bigger than what I put in, you know? It's a human way of dealing with things.
You're absolutely right. A businessman looks two main things. Number one, they look at the risk of what they're investing in.
Thank you very much.
Secondly, they look the return on their investment. So when a businessman comes in, they would look at the rules and the regulations of Somaliland, which is very friendly to people who are doing foreign direct investment. Because we want to attract investment. With that, they will see actually the government is built all the bases for that investment. You have a system that are designed to support for you to invest your money, whether you are a Somalilander or somebody from the other parts of Africa or wider world. Now, we want you to come and invest. There are lower taxations, but we want you to, there might be certain criteria that you know, for you to achieve. So you gain
some profit as well.
Absolutely.
Corruption. The rest of Africa faces corruption. It's at the pit in Nigeria. It's called the Premier League of Africa. But you find this everywhere. How is the government of Somalia dealing with that?
Because Somaliland.
Somaliland. Yes. How is the government of Somaliland dealing with that?
Look, I would be lying if I said there was zero corruption, because there is nowhere in the world where you have zero corruption.
No.
But my government built a system where it is very hard for corruption to happen. Now, I'm sure if somebody looks for it, they might find bits and pieces. Number one, we don't have a lot of budget. Like I was saying to you, our budget is minute in comparison to
what are you going to steal?
This is the thing. So number one, the everything is accounted for. For what little we have, we build a country on it. So there might be a corruption, but it'll be a small, tiny, minute part of that. That's why we are efficient in what we have. That's why we have,
because everything remains in the country. Everything is there.
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
I was with a friend of mine at the Houses of Parliament.
Yeah.
And he asked me what the budget of Somaliland was.
Yeah.
And I told him, less than 500 million a year.
Yeah.
And he looked surprised. And he said, Big Ben, the bell on Big Ben.
Yeah, the bell, the big one,
He said, we spend more money than the budget of your country on this. on
the bell alone,
yeah. So,
because they've just repaired it anyway, less than 4 or 5 years ago.
In that way, you can see, for what we have used what we have in the most efficient, practical way that we could. So I would not say there's no corruption, but probably if you look at the league of where the corruption comes in the world and you measure it, probably we are one of the least corrupt countries in the world.
But the only thing is that you don't even appear there. You don't appear on that
this
league.
Is the thing.
Because
this is where the world is missing.
No, because then nobody recognizes you.
But
That's
this is
why.
the thing. The world is missing that. African Union is missing that.
Yeah.
This is where they need to come and see.
Yeah.
If you want a success story,
Yeah.
if you want a true democracy, if you want people who stood and are efficient in what they have, if you want people who want to engage with the world but don't want anything from the world, if you want people who want to trade with the world but don't want anything from the world, if you want people who secure the best ways, whether it's the sea or land, for the world, Somaliland is the place. And I would say to any African and wider international community, but specifically to African and those diplomats who get a chance to see this program, come to Somaliland, understand what Somaliland is, and I would say it would be dividend to see as an example of African state from the ground that's efficient, that's not corrupt, that's democratic, that's safe, that's secure, that takes care of its people. Come and see it.
Okay. This all could happen, is happening because your numbers are down. You don't really have the numbers
in terms of
in terms of people.
Because we have 5.7 million.
Yeah, compared to the African countries, compared to Uganda, for example, Uganda is 40 million. Kenya is about 38 million.
Compared to our neighboring Djibouti, they're 500 less than 1 million. We are 5.7 million.
Okay. Lastly, what would you want to tell the world about Somalia? Because
Somaliland.
Yeah, sorry. I keep making this mistake.
You know the only one.
Yeah,
you know the only one.
A
lot of people do that.
What would you want, and how do you see the future of Somaliland in the next 20 years? Because looking at it now, if it goes the way it does, do you see anything that could change, or how do you see the world? How will it change in the next 20 years? If the population goes up, will it go up? Will it go down? Will it? Is it on the right track? What should it gain in terms of what else do you need? In other words, because as expansion goes, you plan for the next 20, 30 years.
Sure. Let me divide it into different parts.
Okay.
Let me divide it into politically, economically, and socially and environmentally. Politically, we for the last 32 years built the most advanced democratic political system in Africa, possibly in the world.
Okay.
So we have that, and like I said, the example I've given you, there is no country in the world where one president handed power to another one with 80 votes.
With 80 votes,
80 votes. That shows the resilience of our system. It works. It worked for us. Democracy is, I think somebody said, it's the worst system. It's the best of the worst systems.
It's the best of the worst.
We made it work for us. It's based on into our system, and it works really well for us. So politically, I see stable, advancing country that always utilizes the system that has been built. So politically, it would be stable. That's how I see it.
Okay.
Economically, what makes us unique is, number one, where we are in the world. We are in the highway of the world trade. So anybody who's looking in Somaliland would be looking the importance of Bab el-Mandeb and where we are in the world. We have access to the sea. We have one of the longest sea in the Red Sea countries. So we have a port that's state of the art that's there. with us economically, next door to us, we have 120 million people of Ethiopians who, until recently, the economy was growing by 10%. And they need access to the sea, and we provide that access. Djibouti and Somaliland are the ones who provide that access. So whether it's trade, whether it is in terms of economic development, Somaliland is very unique and in at the right place. On top of that, economically, we have there's a possibility of discovery of oil. We're going to be drilling for oil early next year, possibly. We also are rich in minerals, but more importantly, we are rich in people who are very well educated, who are young and who are willing, who grew up in this state and believe in what they have socially and environmentally. We have some challenges on the environmental side, and we are being affected by the environmental change that's happening in the world, and we are building the tools to fight with it for what we have.
Now, lastly, completely, do you see any future connection between any future unity between Somali and Somaliland?
I don't see that.
You don't see that happening?
I genuinely don't see that. I think Somaliland paid a very high price to get to this. We lost 10% of our population. There was annihilation of our cities. I think almost everybody in Somaliland would say never again.
You can't even give people the constitution. The referendum to vote on that.
We did years ago,
and they
voted more than I think it was around 97% voted to stay as independent country. So as much as we love our brothers from Somalia, we say, you rule yourself, we rule ourselves. We can be two brotherly countries, like we are with Djibouti. Brotherly country, we can work together, we can help you, you can help us if we need help. But when it comes to our own governance, we would like to govern ourselves.
I just want to thank you very, very much for coming on the studio to talk about Somaliland. I got it right now, Somaliland rather than Somalia. And I do hope that I wish Somaliland all the best in the world. I just want to thank you all for viewing us, and hope that we'll be together again for another edition of Africa Speaks next week. Thank you for viewing us, and may God bless you all.